talked about how the rain was different. So I grew up knowing who I was. And then I went to Newberry Elementary School, and guess what they taught me? That Indians killed themselves because they couldn't stand slavery. Then they brought in the African. Then later on, as I grew up, they said, oh, Indians are white. They're still here. So,
Mm-hmm.
how does a child combat his, and this goes back to then, how does a child combat what his parents tell him, even though it's not something that the parents talk about because they think, oh, you're gonna have to preserve this history because they're gonna come at you. They don't know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
My parents never thought they're lying. They sent my child to Newberry so they could lie to her. That's how come we're in the place that we are now. But we're beginning to remember. We're beginning to remember who we are and what our grandmama told us. As one guy said, oh, my great grandmother was part Indian. I said, then what makes you think you came from Africa? That's just dumb.
Yeah. And even when you look at their documentation of how many quote unquote slaves came from Africa, even by their estimate, they say 400,000. I've heard it's even less than that, but they
Way
say
less.
400,000. Their highest number is 400,000. How do you get from 400,000 imported to when you get to the 1900 census, it's over 10 million of us? We want like people wasn't fucking that much. People got to understand that. It's you go from 400,000 to 10 million
Right.
in 60 years.
Right. And see, the Native American, let me tell you something about that Native American. First of all, he knows he's not the American Indian. And that's why they won't call him the American Indian, because the American Indian is in the Constitution. The Constitution, see, there was several constitutions. We had our own constitutions with our own tribes, and that's where they got the constitutions from.
Yes.
And so we taught them how to make constitutional law for themselves so that they can live on our land peaceably with us.
Ben Franklin. Ask yourself why Ben Franklin knew all these Native American tribes, and he was going to all these Native American meetings. Mm-hmm. And then he all of a sudden comes out, he gets a divine download from God.
Yeah.
And now
and the term Native American didn't even exist then.
It didn't.
No, because if you look at the word native, like for instance, we just gave Oklahoma to the Native Americans. If African Americans were smart, they would go, oh, I'm a Native American, because native only means you came from somewhere else to make your home here.
Good talk. That's a good game right there. I'm about to put this picture up, the one you sent me.